Hi, it's Jackie from 40 Thrive. In these times of uncertainty, you definitely want up-to-date, vetted information from people who know what they're talking about. The CDC, the World Health Organization, you get where I'm going. This podcast is not that. 40 Thrive is a place to learn, grow, and be entertained. It's an escape. I'll leave the COVID-19 talk to others who have committed to getting it right. Thank you so much for understanding and joining me here. Now let's go.
You're listening to the 40 Thrive Podcast, the show created for women 40 and beyond, ready to shake things up. And now, your host, Jackie McDougall.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of 40 Thrive. So in the coming weeks, I have some incredible guests lined up, including experts that will absolutely help you thrive, as well as next week, I have a super duper special episode with 5 women ranging from 42 to 64. You'll have to hear how I know them and definitely join me for that. But today we're doing something a little bit different. Tammy Pescatelli is a stand-up comic and a friend of mine for about 20 years. She's hilarious. She is in a Showtime special called More Funny Women of a Certain Age. It's the sequel to the first Funny Women of a Certain Age. And I'm telling you, it is worth your while. As well as Tammy has just launched her brand new special, The Way After School Special. Remember those after school specials we used to watch? And that one can be found in a variety of places. If you go into the show notes here, you can get a link to download that special. I highly recommend you do that because for someone like Tammy who came into the 40 Thrive Facebook community, gave us a little bit of comic relief and something to do on a random weekday during quarantine, I really want to support her in this endeavor. We don't think about all of the people who are out there like Tammy, who is a traveling comedian, who is on stages and making money from tickets and things like that. And now she's home and not knowing what she's doing. I bet you do think about that because I'm sure there are many people out there who don't really know where their next paycheck is coming from or how long they're going to be able to stretch the dollar. So I completely get it. And if there's some way, shape, or form we can support you, I do have some posts in the 40 Thrive free and private community in that even if we can buy you dinner, even if we can pull together some funds from other community members who are doing maybe a little bit better right now, we are here for you. So please join us in the free and private 40 Thrive Facebook community. Let us know how we can help you because frankly, that's why we're here, right? Is the connection, the community, and to be able to elevate one another. So as I said, Tammy came into the group. She provided some comic relief. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to just keep it in here. I want to share it with more people. I want as many people out there to be able to laugh and just let go for a little bit and bring just a little bit of humor to our lives right now. So the recording is basically a Facebook Live. So it's not podcast quality, but I did want to share it with you. So just be a little bit more forgiving maybe than usual. And enjoy the conversation I had with Tammy Pescatelli. All right, apparently we're live with Tammy Pescatelli.
Hey,
hi, Tammy.
What's going on?
So I'm excited because I normally would just go, hey, Tammy, come be on the podcast and let's talk about the 5 million specials you have going on. Everybody's home.
I know. And normally I was supposed to be in Los Angeles, so we were going to do this face to face.
Yes. And so we're all being flexible these days.
We are. I don't know if I'll be as flexible once this is over because I think I'm going to weigh 1,000 pounds.
Okay. Right.
I mean, I'm trying to work out, but I'm grazing.
Yeah.
I think I'm nervous too. It's hard because my kid is nervous. And I don't want him to be nervous.
Right.
So I'm just trying to be as normal. Okay. Sorry. My cat apparently has joined the podcast.
Fantastic. But yes, I am with you. I think that maybe people aren't hoarding as much as we think they are. And they're just stuffing their faces like I am.
Listen, I was born for a time such as this. I have been saving glasses. I probably have about 250 pair of glasses and contacts. I buy them every time an old ophthalmologist retires.
Really?
Because I'm blind. I literally have a 5.0 prescription. So if I were to, like, I'm like Velma from Scooby-Doo. Like if I lose my contacts or glasses, you're going to have to go on without me. So I have all different kinds. So if you need it, come find me. I'm Specs in the Apocalypse.
That's awesome. So have you been hoarding other things other than glasses?
No, I'm very much not I found toilet paper today at Walmart and it was amazing. There were 2 giant packs of 8 rolls that are supposed to be like 17. I only bought 2. I bought one for myself, one for my parents. I wanted to buy 2 for myself, but I felt embarrassed to walk around. I'm not going to be that person that walks around with 3 giant packs of toilet paper when other people don't have any.
Right, right. So I want to get into your specials because you do have 2 happening right now. Number 1, the Way After School special,
yes.
Which any Gen Xer is like, oh my gosh, it takes me back to all of the after school specials.
Good. That's what it's supposed to do.
And then you have more women of a, oh my gosh, funny women of a certain age.
But it is
the Showtime.
Funny women of a certain age. It's the
because
sequel to Funny Women. Right. That's with, it's Carol Montgomery's baby. And with the hysterical Carol Leifer, Caroline Ray, Thea Vidal, Julia Scotti, just an amazing group of killer female stand-ups.
And I saw it. It's hilarious. And you were hilarious. And I've already downloaded on Apple your new special, the Way After School special. So I want to, but here's the cool thing about this. Like we could not have timed this better. First of all, everyone's home. But secondly, you are all about the Gen X women or Gen X people in general. Like we kind of have it going on. And even reports right now with coronavirus and stuff seems like Gen X is the one who's actually doing the best work. So let's pat ourselves in the back.
I definitely think that's from all those. I attribute it to pixie sticks because our parents could care less if we had pixie sticks.
Right.
So I think it must have been the savior.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a Gen X, like, let's talk about some of your comedy, like some of the things that you recognize that we just sort of
this is horrible.
Scarves, women, scarves.
I have to do this. Is this how it's gonna have to be? I have to sit there and stare at my neck the whole time. Wow, what the heck happened? There was a scary thing on FX where the vampire's neck opened up and ate them from there. That's what I'm looking like anymore. Can I just do the whole interview like this where I'll just hold my neck?
We can get the tape. Well, I'm the same way. And the reason I have this is because, you know, how many of us like the skin cancer, like,
God bless you. You did well, though. You went, you saw something.
I
said
did
something. They took it off. You're doing okay.
I'm fine. And that's a Gen X thing right there too, right? Like, so let's talk about.
Wait, can we just say this for everyone listening? Yes, that's where we are now. We're dealing with skin cancer. We're locked in quarantine. But Jackie and I used to go out and party down. That's what we used to do. While the rest of you guys were at home with your kids, we were in our 30s just having the greatest time of our lives.
Yeah, we got a late start with some of the other stuff, you know. So I know I mentioned this on Broadcast when I used to do that podcast, but you know, you were partly responsible for getting me arrested. You weren't partly responsible for anything, actually. You just happened to be there that night.
I was the catalyst.
You were the catalyst. You threw me over the edge. So when it comes to like because your comedy is very observational, what do you see going on now? And I don't even mean with coronavirus, because I want this to be like a relief from that and maybe talk about some other things. So like, what do you see with the kids now versus where we were growing up as kids? And is it good or bad?
Well, I think that they're not equipped to handle disappointment the way we were. Our lives were constant disappointments. No was a word that was in our house all the time. No with no explanation either. Right. Like, no, I said no. That's what I meant. There's no, you don't need to know why. So I think that we find ourselves, even I do, explaining myself to my son. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't have to explain myself to him. No, it's sufficient. But what happened to me is, there's several reasons the show is actually at my old high school, the Way After School Special, because in 10th grade, my guidance counselor, when I told her I wanted to be an actress, she said, "You're from here," which was a small little town outside of Cleveland, Ohio. She said, "No one from here has ever been on TV. If you want to be on TV, you're going to have to rob a bank." That's oh, okay, the misguidance counselor. So I decided to go back and film the special there. Like everybody goes big. Let me go back and see if the people who knew me since I was a kid will laugh. Plus, I put everybody in town on TV, and kids in the high school worked alongside of my professionals in the entertainment, because they don't get that, back in Perry, Ohio. They don't get a lot of entertainment. It was just something I wish I would have had when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I also was going to tell off the guidance counselor, but she was dead. So that didn't happen. But, and it was hard too. It was a huge labor of love, because I had to deal with the streaming service to do this special. Then my husband got sick, so I had to postpone that. By the time I said, okay, I'm ready to film, there was a new regime at the streaming service. And they were like, well, we want to do the special with you, but we're not going to do it at your old high school. They were like, we are, they do it formulaically. They go to a theater and they bounce 8 comics through the theater on the weekend. So I said, how am I supposed to let these kids, I'm supposed to do to these kids what the guidance counselor did to me? So I had to say no to that deal and do it myself. So it really was a true labor of love.
Like, you could have very much said, well, the streaming service no longer wants to do this. I guess it's off the table. But no, you doubled down.
Yeah. I felt bad too. Because then afterwards they were expecting a big release somewhere. And I'm like, well, we're just going to have to, thank God Larry the Cable Guy jumped on as an executive producer. And then here we are.
Oh, that's cool. See, that's support where probably you didn't necessarily expect it. And that helps.
Yeah, no, it is. The older I've gotten, the more I'm able to enlist friends for help. I would never asked for help before. I couldn't. I had such pride to my own detriment. And then I realized this kind of, even though it is my special, it wasn't just about me. These kids deserved an IMDb credit. We created a scholarship from the proceeds of the actual live show that we gave out at graduation. And, I just felt like it was incumbent upon me. That lady told me I couldn't do it. And I don't know to what degree I'm successful, but I did what I said I wanted to do, and I needed them to see that they could too. Besides the fact that I wanted to see if I could fit in my old cheerleading uniform.
They'll have to watch to find out, right?
Well, no, I could tell everybody this. I did fit in my uniform, and that was great. And I was super excited, and I felt hot for a second. I was like, whoa, I got this on. And then I'm so old, and the uniform is so old that the Velcro disintegrated, and the skirt just fell right down. It was hysterical.
Going back and doing that, was it sort of like a combination of giving back and giving them the finger, or was it mostly just the giving back?
Mostly giving back. I grew up with a lot of great friends that I'm still friends with. I was lucky enough to be a cheerleader and be in the smart classes and be out for sports. So I was kind of friends with everybody. Not the greatest, most popular, you know what I mean? I just was one of those girls that was friends with everybody. And so it wasn't about giving. It was mostly about giving back, not giving the finger to the teacher who said I couldn't do it. And maybe one or two broads that cheated on that had stole my boyfriend, but whatever, maybe those girls.
What kind of reaction did you get going back to where you grew up, given all your success now?
In my face, great. Who knows what they said behind my back? But no, lots and lots and lots of friends supported and showed up, and teachers, and the vice principal is in there. I even refer to him because I was doing this it's not a sex joke, but and I was like embarrassed to do it. But no, but I stayed in touch with everybody for the most part. A lot of people, not that we have class reunions, because our class elected the stoner for class president, which is what, it's always the valedictorian versus the stoner. And of course we went for the stoner, and you should never do that because then you don't have class reunions because they're in jail.
Is he actually in jail?
Yeah, for real.
That's funny.
I mean, he might be out by now, but he was during the last one.
Wow. So when you left your small town of Ohio and you came to Hollywood, and I think we met like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dean Banowitz who introduced us. But you then went on quite a ride. You've had your own shows. You've been on Last Comic Standing. You've done a shit ton of stuff. And then we're Facebook friends, you would post about how things were slowing down and whatever at a time. How does that work? Because there are a lot of women over 40 who are like, they feel the ramp down and they have no idea how to find the momentum again.
Because here's the thing. I moved to Los Angeles, a fully working professional comedian.
Mm.
So nobody or nothing could take that from me. They could not give me other work, but they couldn't take what I had already done. Now, there's a lot of times that, I'm a road comic. I make my living face to face from people. Sometimes I wish I didn't, but I can't control why I don't get cast. Why it always comes down to me and the person who gets the part. Or I'm in development deals early on with networks and they don't have any projects. Or right now, at the height of all of a sudden, I have all this heat. I have 2 specials in 3 days. I have an Unmasked thing. I got the Today Show, the Tonight Show, all this stuff. And a coronavirus shows up and we're all quarantined in our house.
Everybody's career, I think, is like cyclical, right? Or it's not a straight line. And so here you are, over 40, stuff's happening again.
I know that a lot of people have it worse than I do, so I try to keep that in perspective, number one. Number two, I haven't been home for months and months. I've been home, but coming home only a few days and dealing with my parents and my son and my husband and everything. My house could really use a polishing up, so I'm using it because I'm a neat freak, so I'm using it to my benefit. And the good news is at least I got my content out there before everything went crazy. So,
Yes. In fact, it's sort of an ideal time when it comes to having a brand new special on Apple. And is it only available in iTunes?
No, Apple, Amazon Prime, Google Play. Okay. What's it called? Voodoo, everywhere. Voodoo. I don't know what they call it. They call it, not Hulu, but there is a place called Voodoo, I think. VUU.
Okay.
But it's a weird thing because the label released it, like the movie of the actual footage of the stand-up on Thursday, St. Patrick's Day, which is, a great Italian holiday. And then the album came out today. So interesting that it's set completely separate. Right now, as we're talking, I think we're number 4 on the chart. So I'd love to have a number 1. I've had a 3 and a 2, but a 1 would be cool.
I want to link to that here too, because it's just so much fun. First of all, for women our age who are like, what's next? It's so nostalgic. It's so funny. You just really appreciate basically the shit that we went through.
Well, I started to notice, from my act, I've always written it as if we're all friends and I just haven't seen you in a long time. But I started to notice as I looked out in the audience from stage that I'd see people our age, but some of them, started way younger. So they have grown children that were with them. Or maybe they'd even have one of their parents with them. So I'm supposed to entertain 3 generations at the same time. Like, how do you do that? Pick a demographic. That's so crazy. Right. We all have different references. And that's one of the things I think is the biggest problem with sensitivity levels now is that, we're not trying to offend each other. It's just the rules are different for every generation. Every 15 years, they've changed. So I think I started trying to explain that. It's not that I'm doing anything that's groundbreaking, but trying to connect it from the place, I'm in the middle. So let me connect you all. I know all this is what the young ones think. This is what the millennials, this is what the Gen Xers think. This is what the baby boomers think. This is how this works.
Right, right. I don't know how you do it though, because you do, and I've seen like cutaways to like it feels like a family, like casting, right? They've got the older parent and the one who's our age and then the younger. How do you write jokes that are going to kind of bridge the gap between all of those generations?
Thank God I took that summer of Shakespeare, because not that I'm Shakespeare level, but you know how he used to write to two levels at the same time, the upper echelon and the groundlings? I'm trying to think, what does a young person think by this? What does my generation think? So a lot of those jokes, and at this stage of my life, which a lot of people who are listening, I know who I am. I say it over and over and over again, and I will never stop saying it, because everybody who doesn't know who they are and isn't comfortable needs to hurry up and figure it out. You can't shake me. I feel like I'm Eminem. I've been chewed up and bit out, spit out and booed off stage. I've had people go against me, make vindictive and vicious attacks on me. I've lost my agent and my manager on the same day because of a lie. And I came back and I kept pushing. And I think now, if I can make you laugh, it's very pure. It's really just what I want to do. Yes, it's how I feed my family. Okay. Mm-hmm. It is, because I'm the primary breadwinner since my husband got sick. But I mean, that's how it is. I truly just know that you give me this hour. That's a beautiful gift that you're giving me, that chance to make you laugh and forget about your problems for an hour. Right.
And does it do the same for you when you're on stage? Does it make you laugh and forget about your problems for an hour, or are you just in work mode?
Sometimes. There's supposed to be a theory that you can only think one thought at a time, that you can't hold two thoughts. So you're supposed to do something so you could forget. Like, that's why you're supposed to help others so you forget about your own pain. Because I'm a comic and I've done this for 25 years, my brain I can be telling a joke and think, oh my gosh, I got to start my car because it's freezing outside as soon as I'm off the stage. Or I'm thinking, how many minutes till I can go to the bathroom? Because shows might get shorter the older I get, or we'll have intermissions. Right. But, I do enjoy it for the most part. You know what I mean? There's 99.9% of the time I'm having a good time too.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, 20 years ago when you started, or you were already started, but 20 years ago when we met, you didn't see a lot of women over 40, doing what they do best. Like, I've had Kathy Ladman on the podcast. I've had Mindy Sterling on the podcast. Like, I love funny women at any age, but there's something so special about they're in their 60s. And so why do you think it shifted that we're finally starting to see the value and the voices of women who are over 40?
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, I remember when I got pregnant at 37, I couldn't find anyone to talk to about it, because most female comedians, I joked about it, but I said their wives had their babies, or the women who had the kids stayed home because they had a partner or they didn't travel. And I'm a road comic. Like, that's why I left LA and moved to Pennsylvania, so I could have a quote unquote normal life to figure it out. And then we got landlocked out here, and it's good for my son. But yeah, I also think that female comedy has changed. It doesn't have to be about, like, when I was a kid and I started, most women over 40 were male bashing. And yes, I pick on my husband, but that's because he lends himself to it. It's not a male bash thing. I'd be remiss to not talk. How stupid. If you had gold in your backyard, you'd dig it up, like.
Right. And women back then, like, I think about even Carol Burnett or even like a Minnie Pearl, right? They weren't talking necessarily about their everyday lives. They had a specific shtick. And so I think there are more women over 40 who are talking about life. That's what I think is so damn funny is the, what you notice about life. And I love that kind of observational comedy.
Yeah. Well, and listen, I'm not wearing trends. I don't have neon colors on. I'm trying, you know what I mean? Like, and that's great. I realize that a belly shirt isn't for me. Like, there's nothing that's what happens the older you get, when your perspective is strong. You know, the only thing that shook me, really, even all this stuff doesn't shake me. The only thing that has shaken me up a little bit in the past few months is J-Lo at the halftime show, because I love her and I'm glad that she can do it, but it pissed me off because then everybody else is going, hey, well, you're 52. Okay. Well, good. She's got trainers and she's got A-Rod. When you start making bank and looking like A-Rod, then I'm going to be able to twerk with sequins on.
So you're telling me that your husband doesn't look like A-Rod?
He's pretty hot. He's hotter than A-Rod to me, but don't tell him I said that.
I won't tell him. So what do you think you've learned? Like if you were writing the Tammy Pescatelli, you know, autobiography now.
I am going to write a book. Do you know that?
Well, I did not know that, but that is like a no-brainer to me. I mean, you've lived a lot of life. And even now, the way you are able to live in Pennsylvania, like people think, oh, I can't leave Los Angeles. I'll never work again. And you've proven them wrong.
Well, I had to hide it and lie for a year until I got that television show about living in PA, and that blew it.
You couldn't keep the secret anymore. I mean, you talk about this in your comedy, how you were pregnant and you were told that you'd never work again. Like, how has it gone? How have we gone from you can't be a normal human being who has everyday occurrences and still be a stand-up comic to you being over 40 and sharing everything and being successful? Now you're not successful in spite of it, or successful partly because of it. How has that happened?
Well, I think it's because I have no other marketable skills. I think, you know, you have to work with what God gave you and you have to keep pushing forward. I couldn't do anything else. So I think you learn those things. Like this is my goal to write the book. It's called Death by Paper Cuts, because I keep having all of these just slow, like passive aggressive kind of, you know. Well, yesterday I was at the bank and this woman was so mean to me, and she was like almost like this, you know, like I was a vampire. And she's like, haven't you been somewhere? Oh, well, haven't we all? Is this existential? You know, so it's like all these different stories that,
Is it because she knows you're a traveling comic?
Yes. And she saw about the Today Show, but she could have been nicer. And she licked her finger to count out my money. So who's skeeving who? Yeah. I've never liked people. I do think though, like, I don't know that this, I thank the younger generation for standing up for the things that we didn't know that we could stand up for. Like, I was sexually harassed so much, I didn't know it was sexual harassment. I just thought that was work. I knew I couldn't say anything because I knew that I wouldn't get booked. I lived in comedy condos with men. I would show up and have to live with two strange men. I once had to stay in a condo with a guy who became the most prolific serial rapist in the country at the time. I mean, I'm sure he's lost that title by now, but at this comic, his name was Vince Champ, and he used to go city to city and violently rape a girl. And he raped a girl the night that we stayed in the condo together. I didn't know him. I met him on a Monday morning or Sunday night. We shared the condo because you do your own thing. And then I went on my way on Tuesday. We had a brief hello, goodbye. But apparently Monday night, he raped a girl. And that girl saved my life, because who knows, if he would have done that to me, he would have had to probably kill me. So it's amazing the life that we lived before GPS, when I was traveling around with a map. When I moved to California and ended up living in a stripper colony, and they taught me how to flirt, you know, lots of funny things that happened in my life. Wow.
When we had that big Thomas guide, remember the book that we'd have to see the cross streets to try to, I couldn't even deal.
Yeah. Crazy life. So, I mean, it was a different, I almost got carjacked in LA once, going downtown to try to get cheap clothes, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. But you live and you learn, and the stuff that you wish didn't happen to your kids. That's the key.
Right. And speaking of kids, so you have a young son who, like, how do you think your experiences and your life as a comic has sort of formed how you are as a mom? Like we all like to picture you cracking jokes at dinner, but
I do crack jokes. No, I do. And I definitely, he gets to see the world, which is great. He can believe things are possible because, I didn't have that. People on TV were on TV and somehow they lived in a magic land that it allowed them to see it. He had his first memories about being on TV. I think I try to laugh a little bit more than my parents certainly did. We have but that's an older parent thing. I also went around the world and danced on tables and had a lot of fun before I became a mom, which I would recommend to anybody, except for the fact that I do see my friends that got pregnant 18, 19 years old, and they have grown children that help them move their parents out of their house. Like I got to do it all by myself. So, I don't know. It's a weird time. I think that the young girls are changing things, but I also don't know. The set that I did on Women of a Certain Age, that 8 or 10 minute set, is probably one of the best sets in my life. Okay. I'd put that up against any set that I've done, except for maybe my first Tonight Show. It's a true old school development set where somebody who had any power in Hollywood should see that and come to me and offer me a development deal or ask me what show ideas I have or should spin something off. It probably won't happen. I think that we can do things, but we can only do what we're allowed to do. I don't think that Hollywood still in all. I think they're allowing women jobs and they're giving more young girls chances, but they're not looking for this age woman to be on television right now. I think it's not, no one is going to really walk up to me and go, hey, this is great. Cause I have this great idea it's my real life. My husband, I told you I had a stroke. He owns a mechanics garage. We own a mechanics garage. I found out that he had some issues from when he had the stroke because he wasn't really working because he was embarrassed over his face. Because I told you I married the hot kid from Slow Class. I joke about it. So he didn't really want to go in. And we had all these financial problems. So I've had to go in on my off days. I go work at the mechanics garage, like Marissa Tomei and my cousin Vinny. And we got a whole cast of characters over there. So I think it might be a fun FX show. But
that'd be a great show.
Yeah. Because it's not about my stand-up as much as it's like, if I tell you the life, we got a guy who's a mechanic who was so big, we had to buy lifts because he couldn't fit underneath the hood. So, and we have one guy that like, he's constantly in jail. We call him bail money because he's just constantly looking for bail money. Just stupid things that he just does. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're living like two totally different lives. You're out there, you're traveling, you're on the stages, and then you're coming home and running a mechanic shop.
Yeah. Cause this is what I have for my kid. Like I said to him, I left my son to provide for us. And you can't, everybody goes through some kind of, I feel like minus the racism, it's the modern day Roseanne.
So what would you tell another, there are women who I talk to all the time who are like yourself, successful. They've seen success. They've, maybe they're not doing stand up, but their life has shifted. Like, the fact that, and I can't even hit this point harder, that your career, it was like you're walking along and you're still doing your thing, you're still traveling, you're still successful, and then this wind picks you up and it's like, here's this special and here's this special, and you're like, I'm flying, and then coronavirus happens.
I know.
You smack into a tree.
But
we're talking about thousands of dollars that you're losing by not being able to be on these stages.
It's beyond the money, okay? Beyond the fact that, I got 10 weeks worth of income that I can handle. After that, I don't know what happens to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I don't bring this up to like slam.
No, but that's life. But I do know that all those things that you said that helped me catch the wave, I created. I didn't create the women of a certain age. But that was friendships that created that. Yes. So I can do it again. The only thing that scares me is how many opportunities come for a woman of this age. That's what I kept saying to my family. Bear with me while I'm gone. Bear with me while I'm doing all this press. Bear with me because we're not going to get these opportunities a lot being I don't have a lot more chances in here,
right?
And I'm not looking for that level of fame that some of these young girls are looking for, because I do have a family to take care of. I'm looking for a solid career that more people know who I am, so more people come to my shows, so I can reach out to more people, so I can spend more time with my family and also help more people. Because I think that, that's the key. Once you know what you're doing, you're supposed to, it's incumbent upon you to reach out to other people.
And I think that I always talk about living the example and not just telling people. So we could have you on and you could talk to women over 40 and say, just don't give up and keep doing your thing. Like many women in your shoes would have given up years ago when because it's like ups and downs, and you see it all the time. Someone loses a job, or someone loses a show, or someone loses what they consider losing. And then they're like, forget it. This is a sign. I should just give up. But you like buckle down in those moments and make it all happen. And I think you're a prime example of somebody, this coronavirus thing sucks, but it is not the end. No. And so in the meantime, when we all, and I'll link to all of the places they can get your special, when we all download that, we get Tammy Now. And then when we're ready to get back out there, we can go see your live shows.
Let's hope. Let's hope. That's the key. I just think that everybody has the fortitude. I'm the biggest proponent. I love it when people tell me no. I love when people tell me I can't. I will do anything to prove to them that I can. And then by the time it first starts out as you're trying to prove it to someone else, you actually prove it to yourself.
Right. You're proving it to everyone. And I just really appreciate your time. And
I love you.
I love you too. And I don't know what's going on. It's so quiet in your house during this quarantine.
Well, my husband's at the mechanics garage because you're allowed to go to the mechanics garage. My son is he's not at Google Classroom. I know that because I've been having to fight him about that. He's actually playing virtual reality with some of his friends. It's hard to be locked in the house, but they have it so much easier. We'd have been a mess. I mean, Etch-a-Sketches didn't communicate back then. We'd have been death.
Right. I mean, the games that we had versus what they have, it's ridiculous. Do you remember getting the game that it was like water and rings, and you just pressed it really fast to try to get the rings to go up in the,
for the Olympics.
That's the stuff we had.
Yeah. The little toy that would fall over, just keep falling.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I think we're all going to be fine as long as the internet stays up. I go, the day that goes down, then I want to talk to everybody because that'll be the mess. And by the way, Jackie, go tell all your showrunner friends to watch my special.
Absolutely. I'm gonna post it everywhere. So it's really, really funny. I mean, I think your comedy is better than ever. Like, you just nail it. And so I really appreciate your spending some time with me today, and we'll get everyone to download it.
Let's do it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tammy. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening. Let me ask you 2 quick questions. Have you subscribed? It's easy to do and helps you get alerts when a new episode is up in your favorite podcast app. And have you shared it with a friend? That's the simplest way to help you grow the show and help more and more women over 40 thrive. I really appreciate you pressing play today. I know you have a lot going on, and it's not lost on me. Until next time, take care and keep thriving. Spring has sprung, and with the change of seasons, sometimes comes an increase in vitality. If you're feeling in the mood for a little more personal time, may I suggest Coconut. Coconut is all about providing clean and natural ingredients when you're enjoying your most intimate moments, with or without a partner. Naturally safe products developed by people who are obsessed with quality. Get 15% off with promo code GROWNASS at grownasswoman.guide/Coconut. That's 15% off with promo code GROWNASS at grownasswoman.guide/Coconut.